Welcome everyone to the 77th edition of the danjohnuniversity.com podcast. Welcome aboard and good morning. So we have an interesting question from Dave. How much of your experience in coaching does scientific research need to catch up on? Well, once again, the issue I usually have, and I don't take it as I'm being a jerk, I understand the situation is that, for example, we're still doing self-reported nutrition studies. Well, I wouldn't trust that as far as I could. Well, I don't know. I was going to say throw a discus, but I throw it pretty far. It's, the old joke is adherence to the Atkins diet. Yes, 100%. What'd you have for breakfast? Bagels and pancakes. I thought you were doing Atkins, the induction. Yeah, 100%. Well, bagels and pancakes. Oh, except for that one. And then lunches, cornflakes and toast. That. In the area of strength and conditioning, we're still testing, I think, far too often untrained people and then throwing different things at them. I think it'd be much smarter to have people with 2 years experience, maybe even 3 or 4 or 5 if you could do it, getting them into these workouts where they're testing single set versus multi-sets, people with experience. So I still think it's the subjects are the biggest issue, Dave, of the testing. In the area of things like suitcase carries, thankfully we have Stu McGill up there using that battery of instruments he has to help us understand some of this stuff. So really, so first and foremost, let's do a better job on picking our subjects. 2, we are moving ahead. The issue, of course, is that those of us in performance, we don't have time to wait to find out if something's, right or wrong. I can guarantee this. If you went into a really top-end weight room with a bunch of people who make their living studying, weightlifting and exercise science and showed them what we're doing on a normal workout, they probably wouldn't recognize most of the exercises or they just wouldn't know what was going on, because they're still kind of in that regimented, we're going to study 3 sets of 8 with a minute rest. By the way, great program, nothing wrong with it. But they're also stuck with this idea that you work people in 6 weeks. So let's go through it in an intelligent way for you, Dave. First, let's do a better job with picking the subjects. Let's get some people with experience who know how to lift weights, who would have a little bit of skin in the game, as the new cliche is, a little money in there, money invested. So if they are doing something like 1 set to failure, they can tell you at week 12, I'm not doing this anymore, this is stupid. And then you as the researcher has to say, no, it is going to work because we're doing it. The second big issue, they need to expand themselves, I think, into more like loaded carries, Olympic lifts, and then studying top-end performance, not just the subjects they're working with. And of course, the big one is they've really got to get beyond the 6-week line in the sand. Folks, everything works for 6 weeks. Everything works. It's 6 weeks in 1 day. Then call me and ask me questions. Dave, I hope that helps. I know it wasn't as specific as you might have wanted, but we can add, if you want to follow up, we can go from there. All right, thank you. This is a question from Chris. Is there anything now you have learned that you have added to From Dad to Grad? First off, if you go to danjohn.net, you can find From Dad to Grad, a thing I wrote for my daughter Kelly when she graduated from the 8th grade. Chris, I actually started on a few ideas, but every time I go back and look at it, what I like best about it is where my heart was when I wrote that for Kelly. I was very concerned about my mortality. I was really struggling with some physical issues at the time. And frankly, I was, I wouldn't say I was, I was a little bit worried of my mortality. Now, this is years later, and I'm still worried about mortality, but because of all the pain at the time, I was a lot more focused. So I wrote that from a place of pain, which is a great place to write from. Not a great place to live, but a great place to write. I would probably do a better job on goal setting. If you read my new book, Attempts, I think I do a much better job. I like where that was finished, so let's just end it there. Noel asks a question. Just wondering if you could recommend any other challenges of yours similar to the one you published in T Nation. The one I'm currently doing with my mates to get through the January month is your 10,000 kettlebell swing challenge. We are halfway through it in a minute and find it great. Just wondering if you have any others. Well, no. The biggest challenge I usually find is, why don't you do a program and finish it? That seems to be the number one challenge in our world of what we do. I mean, I have a lot of other, kind of things like hang from a bar for 30 seconds. Be able to, I have a 6-minute squat challenge where you sit at the bottom for 30 seconds in the goblet squat, then stand up, use a 24K kettlebell. And every 30 seconds, on the 30 seconds, so at the 30th the minute, you stand up and sit back down. Boy, does that test your mobility and your anaconda strength. I have a variety of those, but none of them are as clear in my head as a 10,000 swing challenge. It's just so simple in its makeup. You do literally a myriad of swings, myriad from the Greek, meaning 10,000. And it's a good challenge. But really, I'd love to see some people. For example, I have a thing called the Big 21 for Olympic lifting. It's only 9 workouts. Mass Made Simple is only 14 workouts. But to me, those hard training programs are much more of a challenge than even the 10,000 swing. I guess I could put together a whole bunch more of them, but the hard thing for me, Noel, at least the way I do things, is I would have to do it myself. And I got to tell you, lead from the front is great until you have to do these damn things. This might be the 6th or 7th time I've done the 10,000 swing challenge. Right now I'm doing it. I only have 3 more workouts. And I got to tell you, my friend, it is a bear. It is sitting on my chest. It's hard to work in the hour a day, or whatever it is, So for me to come up with a new challenge means I have to come up with a new way to spend my days. I hope that helps. Thank you. We have a question from Tom. And Tom asks, I was wondering what your thoughts are on German volume training, 10 sets of 10, or advanced German volume training, 10 sets of 5 generous programs. I think it's insane. Rolf Milzer, the great West German Olympic lifter, trained along these lines. I don't know anybody who's ever had success with it in the real world without the use of performance-enhancing drugs. I think it's way too much volume. I know you can go online and read about it and all that, but back in, must have been 87, 88, before it was invented by these online gurus, I had a friend who was doing it, and he was a real good, strong guy, and really strong, and he was using 135 pounds, 60 kilos in the bench press, 10 sets of 10. And I get it, I understand why you do it, but there is I don't know any research that really makes that work. And you'll notice when you look at the programs or the books, and I used to have them, I threw them out once I found out more stuff about the authors. They go from, they talk about 10 sets of 10, but very quickly it becomes just a lot of reps and volume. Or more specifically, as options for a 40-year-old experienced lifter looking for hypertrophy gains and to improve work capacity. At 40? Yeah, sorry, Tom. No. You can ask other people and they'll tell you it's good, but I don't think so. Thank you. Good question. I actually enjoyed your question. I can't support it. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, we have a question from Pierre. I'm more than halfway through the 10K challenge, the 10,000 swing challenge, and I'm really enjoying it. That's a strange sentence, but okay. I'm also hating it. That makes a lot of sense to me. It is just as a small, I just finished the 500 swings for me just now, and I appreciate it. I like what it does for me physically. I like what it does for my mobility, how my butt feels, how my lower back feels. I feel like I walk taller, and I hate every rep. I'm starting to look forward to a time that I don't need to do 500 swings in a day. And I'm asking myself, what's next? That's just what we always do. I've been reading on the forum about the success people have having with easy strength for Olympic lifts. I really like the idea of focusing on explosive strength for a little while. And then comes a question that is, Pierre, I know who you are, so I won't be ranting, but boy, you deserve it this time. I don't have an Olympic bar, so you can't do an Olympic lifting program. But I do have 2 of each, the 40, 50, 60, and 70 pound kettlebells, a chin-up bar, and an ab wheel. Do you have any experience on advice on programming easy strength for the more explosive double kettlebell lifts like snatches, clean and jerks, and push presses? Yeah, it sounds like they would work together, but it's not. The reason easy strength for Olympic lifting works because Olympic lifting, a set of 6 singles, a workout of 6 singles in the snatch, 3 clean and jerks, going heavier every time. That's a good, solid, believable workout. But in the kettlebell world, you really got to get those reps way up there. In return, the kettlebell, Pavel talks about starting with day 1, doing 2, 4, 6. By the way, I've done this, and it's really hard. Double kettlebell clean, double kettlebell push jerk. That's the way I did it. 1, 2, rest, up to 4, rest, up to 6, rest. Personally, I'll never do that again. But real quick side point, just to make sure we get it. When I work with strength, I'm fine with ladders going up. 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3. So we have a weight. I do a set of 2 with it, rest, set of 3 with it, rest, set of 5 with it, rest, set of 2 with it, set of 3, set of 5, set of 2, set of 3. Thank you very much, 25 reps. But when I do anything cardio, I always have the numbers come down. So 20, 18, 16, I could do emotionally. 16, 18, 20, I don't know if I could. So obviously I teach the RKC2, which is the explosive overhead ballistic work. If you take that cert, I can show you some things. But Pierre, the short answer is no. I'm not sure it's going to work. Having said that, I also would like to see what you think you could try on this. I would love some feedback on the idea. If you're going to, if you decide to do double clean and push jerk, 5 days a week, certainly those reps, you're going to get a lot of reps in a week. I'd be fascinated to see what your thoughts were. We've tried an easy strength approach to kettlebell snatches. I couldn't make it work. Maybe somebody else could. Will you snatch 5 days a week? The reps keep going lower and lower and lower until you even wonder why you're doing the sets. Pierre, it's a good question. I can't answer it today, right now, this second, as it is a really interesting. You gave me a lot of pieces of a jigsaw puzzle, but I don't know what the picture is. Okay, so let me think about it. You go ahead and try some ideas. Get back to me, and the two of us will work together on building something. Thank you, Pierre. Okay, we have a question from Susan, and there's a problem because I don't know what the question is. This is a little different question. My daughter plays high school, and then the letters are BBSL. Basketballs? And I have concern with how, okay, let's just answer this in a generic sense. How coach is talking to my daughter. I feel it's not my place to say anything, but is it ever okay if for a parent to talk to a coach? Well, if it's abusive, yeah, absolutely. In my experience, no. Parents don't know how to talk to coaches. I've had a few parents in my career, who've understood that I'm coaching a team, not their child. And I can think of a couple of wonderful ladies I had at Judge Memorial. One time we got a whole bunch of stuff that needed to be copied, collected, stapled, and put together for all my athletes. They all showed up and did it without even being asked and just took care of it. Back then, I was also sponsored by a company. I'm not necessarily proud of it, but it doesn't matter now. And we got a whole bunch of gear from this company, and they just took care of it. And they came up with a nice little way of rewarding the kids for certain things. And that was just magnificent. I'm going to tell you the story of my father one more time. I tell it all the time, but I was a sophomore at Skyline College. I was going to win the state championship. I was the captain of the team that won the state team championship. I was the most valuable player the year before. I was most improved. I was a captain, okay? And Coach Lahati came up to me one day angry at me at practice, and I said, and he goes, usually when coaches are recruiting my athletes, they come talk to me first. And I said, okay, coach, that's great. I don't understand. He goes, well, I've been noticing a lot of the track meets, after you throw, you spend some time talking to some coach from somewhere. I go, I don't know what you're talking about, coach. Every place I'm being recruited from is from letters back in the day. And he goes, well, he's a short guy. He wears a suit. And I went, coach, that's my dad. And he went, oh my God. And then he realized at the next home meet that my mother and my father had been at every single track meet. And my dad would come up. Didn't matter where we were, my dad would show up. My dad would come up after I competed, and we would talk. And it wasn't always about how I did. We would just talk. Some of the best memories of my life, come to think of it. So your team captain, MVP, state champion, won the Phil Garlington Award that year, and I can't announce it, but something else is going to come up too. And my dad didn't know who my mom and dad were. That to me is how I would do things. I would be a total believer in staying it off. Here's the upside, Susan, of what's going on right now. Your daughter is learning lessons about real life. Maybe this coach is overbearing or toxic. Now, abusive is a different thing. 911 that, take care of it. But if it's just you don't like the way he yells or does things, well, if it's terrible, you're not the only one noticing. I'm speaking as a coach. Very often parents don't perceive what's going on in the situation. It's going to sound crazy, like normal people. That's why I didn't want either of my daughters to play volleyball anymore in high school, because the volleyball coaches were so clearly club coaches, and really all they wanted to do was get the little girls to not play any other sports, do any other activities, and just play club volleyball year round. And I tell you, when I heard what one of the moms told me she paid for her daughter, well, I'll just tell you, $1,200 a month for her daughter to be in this club elite program, so she could get a scholarship. Well, she got a scholarship. It was minimal. That $1,200 invested in coffee cans buried in the backyard would have been better for her college education than that tiny scholarship. So I didn't want my daughters to play as seniors, especially, and even juniors, because I just didn't like the way it was being handled. I listened to my daughters complain, but I sat in my hands like my father did. Did my daughters learn life lessons? Yeah, we just talked about it a couple weeks ago again. This might not be what you want to hear, but this is me telling you the truth from my experience and from my heart. Hey, it's a great question. This is my opinion. You can disagree, but just remember, you better make sure it's important before you make it into a big deal, because this story is going to linger with you and your child and all the other members of the team and the athletic department, the coaches, for a long time. Handle it well, and I don't have any advice how to do it well. I only can tell you how not to do it, and good luck. Well, there you go. Listen, a reminder, if you have questions, email them to podcast@danjohnuniversity.com, and we'll do our best to answer. Thank you so much.